They say the desert is silent. But if you've ever stood in the heart of the Rub al Khali, the empty quarter, you'll know better. The wind doesn't just howl, it speaks. It carries names. Yours, mine, sometimes even names of the dead. A driver hears his mother's voice. A traveler follows the call of a child that doesn't exist. The desert doesn't forget, it remembers, it watches, and sometimes, it speaks. But when it does, it doesn't whisper warnings, it delivers fate. Tonight, we explore a chilling legend buried beneath the dunes of Saudi Arabia, where the voices in the wind are never truly gone. The whisper that knows your name, 1,000 words. In the blistering heart of the Saudi desert lies a place where even silence seems to echo, a land of endless sand, ancient bones, and secrets that predate maps. This is the Rub al Khali, the empty quarter. A name that fools the unfamiliar. Because this land is anything but empty. Over generations, Bedouin tribes who roamed these dunes spoke of strange events. Tales passed down through fire-lit nights warned of a wind that didn't simply rustle tents or bite at your cheeks. No, this wind spoke. It called out names, not in the chaotic murmur of storms or the tricks of echo, but clearly, precisely. As though someone unseen, standing right beside you, had just whispered in your ear. It was in 1984 when Khalid al-Mansouri, a seasoned desert truck driver, had one such encounter. Khalid had driven supply routes across the Gulf for over 15 years. That night, the desert was uncharacteristically calm. No storms, no traffic. Just an endless sea of sand and a narrow trail lit only by his truck's headlights. He pulled over near an abandoned oil rig to rest for a few hours. There was nothing but rusted metal and a crumbling watchtower, swallowed by time. He sat on the hood of his truck, smoking a cigarette, when he heard it. Khalid. He froze. The voice wasn't coming from behind or the side, it came directly through the wind. Low, familiar, clear. Khalid, my son. His cigarette dropped. That voice, it wasn't just familiar. It was unmistakable. His mother, who had died 3 years earlier. Startled but rational, Khalid tried to brush it off as exhaustion. He stepped back into his truck, locked the door, and turned up the radio. But the voice came again. Turn around. Now. The sound bypassed his ears and seemed to land directly in his brain. It didn't feel like hearing, it felt like remembering. And that's what scared him most. He obeyed. Something deep in his gut told him not to question it. Khalid rerouted back the way he came, driving straight through the night. When he returned to the checkpoint the next morning, he learned something chilling. A massive sand collapse had destroyed the oil rig shortly after midnight, the very site he had parked near. 2 maintenance workers were missing. Dead or buried. Had he stayed, he likely would have vanished too. When Khalid told the story, he didn't embellish. He was not a superstitious man. But what haunted him wasn't just the voice, it was the intent behind it. It didn't sound like a ghost. It sounded like someone trying to help, or warn. Local tribes later told him the legend of Sawat al-Rih, the awakening wind. According to them, this was not a ghost, nor a spirit. It was the desert itself. Alive, aware, selective. The wind carried echoes of people long gone, not to haunt, but to protect those it deemed respectful. But there was a flip side. The desert also punished the arrogant, the greedy, the careless. And if it called your name, you had a choice. Listen, or vanish. The ones who follow the voice. For those who resist, the desert may spare them. But for those who follow, the story rarely ends well. There's an eerie pattern among those who disappear in the empty quarter. They're not usually amateurs. They're explorers, researchers, soldiers, and wanderers who know the land well. Yet they all vanish under similar circumstances. Sudden disappearance, no distress call, no sign of struggle. In many of these cases, their companions later report strange behavior, moments before the vanishing. A 2010 incident involved Drive. Lena Haddad, a geologist mapping satellite data of ancient riverbeds buried beneath dunes. Her team reported that she began hearing a child crying during the nights. At first, they thought it was stress, or the distant call of desert foxes. But Drive, Lena insisted she could make out words. "Help me," it would say. Then, days later, she heard her own name spoken by the crying voice. That night, she walked out of camp. Left behind her satellite phone, notebook, and water. Just walked into the dunes, barefoot. Search teams scoured the area for days, using drones and thermal imaging. No tracks, no body, no trace. Only one clue was found. A crude circle of stones far from base camp, in which a child's name, Samir, was carved repeatedly into the sand. Lena had no child, no relative by that name. The meaning of it remains a mystery. Bedouin storytellers have a name for these people: al-mustajibin, the responders. They are the ones who answer when the wind calls. Whether they're lured by love, guilt, grief, or curiosity, they follow the sound. The desert offers no promises, only outcomes. But not all who hear the voice disappear. In 1996, a French adventurer named Jean Desermeaux attempted a solo crossing from Najran to Liwa Oasis. A reckless move, especially without a support team. But Jean was obsessed with Bedouin myths. He believed the empty quarter held a metaphysical secret, that it was a place where reality thinned. On his final radio log, Jean's voice was trembling. "She's calling me, she knows my name." Then, silence. Weeks of aerial and ground search yielded nothing. That is, until a pilot spotted something strange, an outcropping of polished black rock with something carved onto it. When they hiked to the location, they found just 3 words in French. "Je suis venu. I have come." The carving was deep and deliberate. No supplies, no tracks in or out. The rock is still there, and locals avoid it. They say it's cursed, that anyone who lingers near it hears whispers in languages they don't understand. But the legend doesn't stop there. Some claim that the desert is not calling people at random, but choosing them. That it seeks out those who carry emotional wounds, guilt, heartbreak, loss, and offers them what they crave: closure. A final goodbye, or a reunion. Others believe it's not the desert at all, but something within it, an ancient intelligence, older than man, that feeds on longing. And still, the wind blows. At night, when the desert breathes and the stars stretch over the sand like silent witnesses, the whispers return. Sometimes they cry, sometimes they command, but always, they know your name. So if you ever find yourself in the empty quarter, and the wind speaks to you, remember this. The desert doesn't call out for no reason. And those who answer, don't always return.